All right, we are live.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
That was too quiet. That's not the Christian I'm used to.
Hey guys, welcome to the Bias Cut. It's a very quiet fashion
So
podcast.
meek, so kind.
Yeah, I'm a meek person.
You are.
That's why I decided to do this live stream on the internet every week. What's going on, everyone? Welcome
There
to
we
the
go.
Bias Cut.
Put on the
And-
voice.
And in today's video, we're gonna find out what happens.
We are on YouTube. You got it.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody?
What's going on? Hey.
Welcome to the
Killian.
Bias Cut, everyone.
Yeah, welcome everyone. Welcome.
Fashion
all
podcast
around.
by two uncool fashion outsiders. Perpetual fashion outsiders.
Doesn't matter. Does not matter what happens in my life. I will never be on the inside. I will never be invited in.
No.
My name's Christian. My just as good as a host, Killian, is to the other side of me, and we're here every Thursday. So,
how you been? How you doing?
I'm fine. You know that I'm fine.
Can I ask
really
you a
not.
question? Can I ask you a question that I think we haven't really done since like the first episode?
What's that?
What have you been wearing recently?
Wow, you really are calling me out, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I mean, the thing is, when it gets hot, it gets hard. It gets real hard for me.
Listen, let's fix this problem for you. What are you struggling with? What are your summer outfit choices? What are you vibing here? What are you looking for?
I have nothing. I mean, to begin with, I don't have any money. So, so I'm already stuck there. I'm wearing a pair of Walmart jeans.
Get those feet a little closer to that camera. Make us some money, okay? Woo!
These dogs don't come free.
Listen, anybody listening to the podcast, like on Spotify or whatever, get yourself to the Bias Cut YouTube channel and watch the stream back for that.
Yeah,
one.
because my dogs are barking.
Yeah.
Today I wore these Walmart jeans and one of my signature Uniqlo U extreme boxy tees that I've thought about it a lot. I really want to make I want to make copies of that tee, like buy material. I don't know, sew it myself, get somebody to make it. It's just the perfect cut. I bought I don't know, 6 of them. I'm running. I can't keep. They're gonna fall apart.
We're in Tangent City today, so I went to Uniqlo, a physical store, for the first time ever when I was on vacation a few weeks ago.
Incredible.
And for the most part, it was as I would expect a Uniqlo store to be, very minimal, lots of just basics everywhere. But what I didn't realize, they had like a cool graphic tee zone.
Yeah.
Just tacked on to the side of the store. And it was a weird graphic tee zone.
Yeah, they have weird stuff. They do a lot of anime stuff. They do a lot of I think they're they want it's art, but it's it'll be the same Andy Warhol prints and
they had a lot of Andy Warhol. Randomly, they had a Virgin Suicides screenshot on a t-shirt. But then they had Splatoon shirts, a bunch of them. They had a Katamari Damacy, is that what it's called, t-shirt, which I thought was really weird.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. They definitely have a lot of weird IPs. They got some weird IPs that they print on there.
Yeah.
I just got my partner. Do the t-shirts shrink a lot? Which ones?
I think the Uniqlo, the boxy ones.
The boxy ones, it doesn't even matter. They made them 1 year, and
they are what they are.
They are what they are.
Yeah.
I go in every year looking for them. They sell boxy tees.
Okay.
Or Uniqlo U. The La Mer, they sell some kind of version of a boxy tee, but they don't sell
the boxy tee. Yeah, we got to see it now. Yes, Kelly. drinking the limoncello with an
So-
I. It's not lemon, it's limon. Okay, we got the boxy tea.
See, I mean, you
Whoa.
can tell just from how the hanger, it is just about as wide. It's just about as wide as it is long, and
So, I've never owned either of these, but I think you have or have had both. It looks a lot like the Yeezy Gap T-shirt.
yeah,
crazy?
it's no, it's a lot like that kind of
Okay.
fit. And it's like it very very close, but that T-shirt is maybe 5 years old.
Yeah.
But like the Yeezy Gap tees were extremely similar, just the material was different, but the cut.
That's what I was
very
gonna
similar.
say. That one, the one you just showed, looked thinner, like a little bit drapier.
Yeah, it's like a regular. It's like cotton, like kind of like what you might expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You want some hot news? Some hot
Yes.
goss?
Yes, I
All
would
right.
love to get some hot
I
goss.
just heard that Louis Vuitton is going to open Paris Men's Fashion Week, the first collection by acclaimed musician and artist and influencer and cultural icon Pharrell
Williams.
Williams.
Oh, what? Oh,
Yeah, sorry, I had to
God.
tell both names. I kind of,
I know a lot of Pharrells.
Yeah.
I asked everybody on my Instagram and I asked on my channel what they wanted us to talk about, and this was winner here. So as everybody knows, or if you don't, you're learning. After the untimely death of Virgil Abloh, Louis Vuitton anointed, not even appointed, they anointed musician and artist extraordinaire Pharrell Williams as the next creative director. Now, this was, for lack of any better wording, controversial, because the creative director role at Louis Vuitton is one of the top jobs in fashion. It is considered one of the most coveted positions, and like Virgil's appointment was controversial because he didn't come from like a traditional fashion background. Off-White was a very different kind of brand, but you couldn't deny that he was a creative director and fashion designer to some extent.
It's
Pharrell,
it's kind of like I don't know, when McCain was running, it's like McCain, president, crazy, but then you get Trump and it's just like, whoa, that's even a step further. You're taking like steps. You know what I mean?
Are you saying
Pharrell is the Trump of Louis Vuitton?
Okay, fine. You know what? I don't like you getting political. I don't like all this PC culture. Yeah, Pharrell's a real Trump type.
Yeah.
But I mean, look. The question I asked my followers was our predictions, and just starting off, I don't want to deny that Pharrell has definitely been an influence in the world of fashion. He has especially been an influence in the world of hip hop, where he was kind of the artist in that space who expanded beyond kind of traditional or stereotypical, like what a hip hop artist looks like. He was wearing pink polos and skinny jeans before Kanye. He is kind of the source for a lot of this stuff. He has that relationship with what's his face, Nigo, from A Bathing Ape. So he's a long-standing relationship with like brands and designers, and naturally, Billionaire Boys Club is his label, his brand, and he's known for his outrageous style and his hats that are huge.
And his hats.
His hats are gigantic,
massive, absolutely massive.
But what could we possibly predict?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go the direction of making like quite specific predictions that I have no idea if they're true, but just feel true to me in this moment right now. So I have like zero information on what this show is going to look like, but my first prediction is that it will have at least a slight Western tinge to it.
Why?
I don't know. I feel like I've been seeing some photos of him with that kind of vibe going on lately. And it just like feels like a leaning to me. And it's something that I've been noticing more, I think, especially in like popular musicians lately. Of course, you like a few years back, you got Lil Nas X like really bringing it in. And that was a whole thing. But
yeah,
exactly. And I feel like looking around, like I've seen Bad Bunny doing a lot of kind of Western-y type stuff. It just kind of seems to be in the zeitgeist right now. And I feel like he's going to be grabbing onto that, the zeitgeisty stuff, you know?
So you think like a Western, like cowboy style is what's hot?
Yeah, I'm foreseeing like a suede jacket, you know, with like the wavy cut in the back and maybe a couple like trucker jacket type pockets, maybe even some fringe going on, you know?
Well, I like the guess, but I think you're completely off. No. I mean, I think it's totally possible. I think like what's a given is there's going to be that Murakami flavored, like ultra vibrant colors,
like day glow, yeah,
kind of stuff. Which always, like, whenever I say that, I feel like I'm saying like a racial slur. It just does not sound right.
Close.
It's close, yeah. But I'm referring to colors that look like they're glowing in the day. I definitely think there's going to be some of that Murakami flair.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a giant hat. Like, if he's just like, guys, I did this. And I probably made this joke the last time we talked about it, but you know how like Pharrell has like that secret producer tag? It's not like, he doesn't put in like, I'm Pharrell and I produced this. But his
Pharrell on the beat.
We got Pharrell on the beat. Like, he doesn't do that. But his songs often begin with like a triple fake start, like dun dun dun, like my milkshakes bringing all the boys to the yard, and like a million examples. The runway show is going to begin that way. The models are going to walk it, dun dun dun. They're going to walk in, out, walk in, out, walk in, out, and then we'll know. And then we'll know that we got Pharrell on the beat.
Damn right.
Because I obviously, I think that his kind of cultural cachet, or like kind of the bag of fashion tricks that he's pulled from, has very much been inspired by like a Japanese interpretation of hip hop. You know, vibrant colors, things that are just kind of funny. And I think kind of maybe like, what's the right word? Like what your mom might say is like dapper. Like if you saw somebody wearing a bunch of outrageous clothes, and your mom would say like, he's so dapper.
You know, here's one. I have a feeling we might see some more like outrageous or vibrant jewelry than we saw under Virgil. Because I feel like that's something I really associate with him, you know, like the giant like NERD or like skateboard necklaces and stuff that are just like bedazzled to shit. That would not surprise me at all to see really more prominently featured in the show.
Well, definitely. And I think that a couple of like takeaways from that is, and I don't mean to be a broken record, but Louis Vuitton makes all of their money from accessories.
Yes.
So I think like Virgil definitely kind of over-indexed in accessories. And I would say that there were a lot of like outrageous accessories in his collection, like the like oil slick chains. That's definitely something. And I think Blanks mentioned he's going to buy the sunglasses, but like I'm thinking of like the Virgil sunglasses were already like massive, outrageous. So like for Pharrell to, and also I believe those are the Cartier glasses he has with the diamond encrusted.
Oh yes, they are.
So that's one takeaway we have, that the picture we're looking at right now of Pharrell. He would have to you have to go to great lengths to kind of outdo what Virgil did with accessories.
For sure. So I've got a specific question.
What?
I feel like it might have been Virgil's last show or one of his last. he went crazy on the star power. Like there were like singers and dancers, like famous people walking and things. Do we think this will be a star-studded affair, not just in the audience, but performing and walking and things? Or do you think it'll be a step in the other direction where he's keeping that out of the show?
Well, I think this. I think that like a lot of artists, especially ones who are Black and American, were eager and more excited to support Virgil because it was kind of it was a symbolic thing that he was the creative director of this French house.
Sure.
So I think that that was a big part of it. And naturally, he was very well connected with a lot of artists.
Yeah.
Pharrell is kind of cut from the same cloth. He definitely has a lot of connections, and it seems almost unlikely that he wouldn't have people from like the music space involved in some way.
Right.
But maybe you're right. Maybe he's gonna want to distinguish himself in some degree, and I don't know. I don't know though.
I mean, he is so. Now that I'm thinking about it more, he is somebody that is like, he's like the collaborator. You know what I mean? Like that's his thing. Yes. So I think it would be surprising for him not to bring in other personalities and voices into it. I feel like that's really one of the big reasons they brought him on, right? They felt like he would be a connector, not just for fashion, but across culture, you know?
Yeah. And that was obviously one of Virgil's great strengths. And like, I'm thinking about it, and it's like, if Pharrell could have like, you know, Daft Punk there and all these different people, and this is my best friend or whatever, they're going to like the suits are going to want that. They want anything that is newsworthy, Instagram worthy. So why wouldn't Pharrell kind of want to start his career in this with a bang?
Because like each element of a show is its own post. And you know what I mean? If you have somebody like a singer singing, that's a post right there. You know, the opening look, that's a post. The person that does XYZ, each one you get in is another kind of tentacle in the awareness of the entire endeavor.
Yeah, and I'm like, get these tentacles out of my head from me. Yeah, I think that there must be some of that. Shoot, I had a thought and I didn't spell it THOT.
No,
it's eluding me. But the one thing that I think and this isn't to discredit the immense talent and capability that classically trained designers bring. You know, I mean, like you can throw a dart at fashion brands, and you know, you'll probably land on a brand that has somebody trained from Central St. Martin's there.
Yeah.
So I'm not discrediting that, but I do think that if people are expecting that this show is gonna suck because Pharrell isn't a designer, I wouldn't worry. I think that you should not underestimate kind of the role that he's in. He's a creative director. That means he's the maestro, you know, and that's what Virgil was doing, and that's what these types do. Obviously, understanding the process, understanding design is a huge quality to have. But I think that Pharrell, if he has any capacity to kind of lead a big project, which is what they're hoping for, I think he'll do it just all right.
Yeah, just because somebody from Central St. Martin's doesn't have their name at the top of the masthead doesn't mean they're not there. Like they are everywhere below that top level. You know what I mean? Like you think about it, if you look at any designer, like creative director or almost any at any of the big houses, and you look at their resumes, you'll see like Demna was at Margiela. You know what I mean? He was not creative director of Margiela. He was just a fantastic designer working at Margiela. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you know, you say that he's fantastic, but I think he's a pedophile.
Right.
Those are your words, okay?
All right, let's get off this subject. We you said that word way too many times last episode, so we got to save this one, okay? We got to keep it algo friendly. So,
you're right.
What do we got here? What's our next story, Christian?
So, and I do genuinely not know exactly how to pronounce his name, so I'm going to say that or their name because I also don't know their gender. Uh,
Fuck.
this is the world. Saren was appointed the creative director of Andy Mielemeister, and they served for all of one season. So
no.
the latest scoop is in this this new trend.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Mielemeister hired a new creative director who seemed to get along well with Andy, and they did one show, and that's it. And this is quite the news. I mean, this is like this amounts to. What's a great example? What's a good example? You know how England, the UK, you know how they had a prime minister for like 2 weeks? That's what it feels like happened here. It's
100%.
like, oh my God.
And just last episode, we were talking about the guy from Rude leaving Bally after 2 seasons. This is just one. And in that one, it was kind of a mystery, like what happened? Like, was he fired? Did he quit? But actually, this Business of Fashion post spills way more tea than that, saying that differences arose between Andy Mielemeister's management and de Saarinen. So they're saying it right out, like this relationship was just bad.
Yeah. And I mean, I think we want to talk about 2 things.
Yeah.
We first want to talk about kind of the politics or like the theory crafting of what we think is going to happen. But we also want to look at the show because we've got one show to analyze.
Only one,
and that's it.
Easy peasy.
Easy.
Let me bring
pull
this
it up. Guy who's on the Joe Rogan Experience. Pull that up for me.
We got this. Here we go. Oh, the opening look is a racy one. You love to see it.
So
right, let's check this
one
out.
of the big takeaways from the Singular collection that Saren did was that it was very androgynous and a very skin showing. But if the watchers follow me in my YouTube channel, you'll know that I talked about how this was like the huge trend of last season, like showing looks that were like gender fluid, especially looks that like were exposing of skin was like what was on trend. So this collection feels like it's right on the money, at least what everybody else was looking to do. And also, I mean, this definitely looks like Andy Mielemeister. This definitely looks like
absolutely does. And you know what I actually really like about this show?
What?
That stood out to me immediately is my thing with like gender fluid or gender neutral brands is that a lot of the time it feels like as you're looking at it, oh, that's the women's wear gender fluid piece and that's the men's wear gender fluid piece. Like they're delineating, but they're just not saying they're delineating.
Yeah.
But this one, it really feels legitimately neutral to me in 90% of the cases of these pieces and looks.
And some of these looks, like these ones we're looking at right now, definitely remind me a lot of like what Raph was doing in his last collections and then what he's doing at Prada.
Yeah.
You know, don't sleep on him, guys, because Raph seems to always be ahead. And I agree. Did you know that there are actually like legal rules about gender neutral clothing? Like,
no, I actually had no idea. Please.
Yeah, I from my experience working the gulags for corporate America, you can't just say it's gender fluid and then put it on a website to sell. There are like legal ramifications and there are guidelines that it has to meet in order to actually get that moniker, which is interesting.
Whoa,
it's interesting because you assume that, like you were just describing, they all call it gender neutral for marketing, right?
Yeah.
Which I'm not saying they don't do.
Sure.
But keep walking through.
Yeah.
Walk me through this. I mean,
we got some big, like, I'm assuming faux fur pieces that are very cool. Honestly, I like these a lot. Like I giant really like shoulders.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll be the first to say, if you have to hold your hands over your chest for the outfit, It leaves something. I
Yeah.
would rather I didn't have to do that.
That's one of those things, and for listeners, literally the models have to hold their hands over their chest to not be just showing their tits, essentially.
Mhm.
But that's the kind of thing that if it was on like Project Runway, Heidi would be like, they didn't finish. You know what I mean? Like they ran out of time. It's sloppy.
Which, I mean, is seems kind of silly.
It
That must
it
have been what they
absolutely
meant.
does.
And we got Blanks. Blanks, one of our best commenters. He said
Mhm.
there were a lot of notes, maybe nods to Andy's early designs around the early 2000s.
Mm.
And I definitely see
Yeah.
the similarity. I mean, it looks a lot like Andy Meister, but it obviously looks very
Mhm.
sex forward, sex positive.
And I'll say I
Um,
remember I reviewed the season before this on my channel, uh, and I did not really like it. I did not think it was a very good collection. This is, I think, in every way, a step above what they had just done this season previous.
yeah.
So it has to have been relationship problems because I don't see any design problems here.
So let's talk about that. I mean,
Yeah.
like we were talking about last episode about how Mr. Rude himself did a few collections at Bally Total Fitness, this
Hmm.
Swedish, I mean the Swiss brand, um,
The Swiss
and
gym chain.
the
Yeah.
Swiss gym chain, and got axed somehow for some
Hmm.
reason. I guess it was more mutual there, but it's like looking over the collections, nothing seems out of place here.
No.
And it also makes me think about like the first kind of alarming one, and it wasn't as severe, but still
Yep.
very shocking, was Daniel Lee leaving Bottega Veneta. He was
Right.
there for a relatively short period of time
Yep.
and received more awards, more of the British Fashion Award
Yeah.
in 1 year than Alexander McQueen ever received. So he
Literally, like, unquestionably, and I think literally ranked, like, in various polls and things, the hottest brand on planet Earth at the time
yeah.
for
So
multiple seasons.
uh, incredible that they would let their like wonderkin go.
Right.
And the word, the kind of behind the scenes news or rumors were that Daniel Lee was just impossible to work with,
Yep.
and so many people who had been working at Bottega Veneta, like old Italian men, so many old like artisans who had been working there for years, straight up quit because they could not tolerate
Yeah.
his tyranny. And it kind of plays into all like this big question mark of, is this, I don't know, this trend, this technique, this maneuver of like established heritage brand is
Yeah.
boring and needs fresh blood. So they
Mhm.
handpick the hot new designer to lead. So like they gave the keys to somebody who is relatively inexperienced in order to breathe new life in the
Mhm.
same way that Karl Lagerfeld did, the same way Eddie Salmon did, the same way that Tom Ford did, the same way that Alessandro did,
Alessandro.
the
Yeah.
same way that like I'm falling asleep as they're doing it, the same way that. So like it's happened a million times, but now we're seeing, as of recently, they're getting axed.
Right.
Do
And
you
this is where
think?
it's go ahead.
Do you think it's because millennials and Zoomers are, first off, spend all their money on avocado toast,
Right.
and
Right.
they can't hold a job, they can't hold a
They
corporate
just
job,
they don't want to work anymore.
they
You know
don't
what
want to
I
work.
mean? You
They,
can't even keep the job. They won't work for
yeah,
minimum wage anymore. What's going
and
on?
it's like, yeah, and it's like a youth. If somebody at McDonald's makes
Yeah.
$15 an hour, a Big Mac will cost you $100, and
That's what
that's
you know
just
what?
economics.
That's what it is. They were paying Ludovic de Saint Cernin minimum wage, and
Yeah,
they were like, "No, no, us millennials, I don't know, millennial Gen Z, we don't do that anymore. You gotta hit 25 an hour." Did he mean
Yeah.
Andy Muhlmeister was like, no.
No. I cannot pay my creative director $25
No.
an hour.
But
It will not happen.
Here's the thing with Ruigi, where I kind of assumed it was a thing where this kind of like streetwear upstart, fashion school educated kid just couldn't hang with a Swiss heritage brand. But I'm pretty sure Cernan is like a legit trained designer.
He does have the look. They have
and the name.
I don't know their gender. Yeah, and the name. They have the look in the name.
Yeah.
So they must have gone to either Antwerp Royal Academy or Central St. Martin's, and we know based on the name they didn't go to Parsons. So what's up with that?
Antwerp 6 genders, am I right?
And name all the Antwerp 6 genders.
Oh no,
including Margella as the honorary 7th.
Okay. That's like the questioning.
Yeah, exactly. And
what now? Where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here? I mean, I asked that question about like, do people of our generation, are they unable to work in these spaces as mostly a joke? Because also millennials work longer hours than any other generation before us. And,
True.
And we reap the non-benefits. But
is it something though about like the way that we work with others potentially? Is there anything to that? Because I have noticed in, my friend group, my age group and things, there's definitely more of a move towards thinking of yourself as not, there's that classic idea that like, we're a family here at this faceless corporation. You know what I mean? Whereas me and everyone I know, it's like, no, you're using me. And we both know that. So let's just be open about that. But does that change the dynamic of working in a collaborative setting?
Maybe. I mean, fundamentally, what our generation has never even like, maybe Gen X thought that maybe they're like working for a company, you'll work your entire life. Our generation definitely never had that fantasy. No. That might be a part of it. I'm probably over analyzing like a psychological component, and also the generations is 300% something that was invented for marketing.
Also true.
So don't give it too much credit. It's more it's kind of talking about like your astrological sign. It's fun. But
I mean, even if like generations in such a hard delineated way aren't really a thing, attitudes do change and social norms do change,
Yes, this is true.
But I think we really are like reading the tea leaves a bit hard here. For all we know, Cernan is a nightmare to work with, or the CEO or president or whatever of Andy Muhlmeister is a fucking asshole piece of shit. You know what I mean?
Like, or Andy Muhlmeister's gender is vampire.
Oh.
Yeah. Pull up a picture of her. You'll see what I mean. Pull up a picture of
Here we go.
Them vampire. Yeah. Are you pulling a picture up?
You're saying a picture of Andy Muhlmeister, right?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
All right. I can't wait. Vampire energy. That's big vampire vibes to me.
True.
That one, the GQ one. Click on that.
Wait, the GQ one?
Above that, below. I mean, below and to the left. Not my left.
Oh yeah, there you go. There you go.
Vampire. That's vampire. For all of our audio listeners, we are looking at a straight up vampire picture that happens to be Andy Muhlmeister. So I can imagine
we figured it out. We got it.
Darren was probably like the cartoon running away. All right. We could talk about another subject that's more fashion related if we want.
I would love to. So here's what I want to talk about, because you were recently featured in a video on a channel that wasn't even yours and wasn't
Not
even this
even
channel. Tell us about what channel were you on, Christian? If you forgot, it's right here.
Fashion Lover called me up. He was sobbing. He was crying. You know, he was like, it's worse than the potato famine because he's Irish. And he said he asked me to be in his video, and I, you know, reluctantly agreed. And I figured we could talk about it because we like to spread the community, talk about the community, talk about content, especially when I'm in it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I thought it's kind of a subject that I think I have kind of probed a few times in the past. I think it's something that we all kind of think about. The title kind of says a lot. It's fashion needs to change to get better. And Fashion Lover, Michael, his thinking or his process was, well, what's holding fashion back? And I think something that he kind of believes, and he expresses as much in the video, is this, like, he values design. He values like the actual form over any of the other like kind of accoutrement or like branding, marketing. And he fears that fashion is so much about like external validation and all this stuff that it continues to alienate and make people feel more and more estranged. And I think that this is a relevant topic. You know, there's a lot of conversations right now about like social media being poison for teenagers. And there's also a lot of conversation about like TikTok fashion being poison for teenagers.
And also relevant considering the first topic of today, which is people scared that the fashion is leaving fashion, that designers aren't even doing the fashion anymore. Not that I necessarily buy into it, but it's all kind of part of the same stew here, you know?
Yes. And at least for my part, and you can watch the video, let me think about what I told him. I didn't disagree. I made the argument that there is a lot of fashion. There's a lot of knowing about fashion and getting involved in fashion that is inherently harder as a hobby, you know, because it's like, if it's just about buying things, most people can't buy things. You were asking me, what did I wear this week? Nothing. I wore my birthday suit. I can't participate in that way. And it's also hard to learn about like these really cool brands. If you have no context, if you aren't like in the scenes, if you're not reading the magazines. And that was a lot of the conversation, was like, is there a way to kind of replicate this or create? Essentially, the idea is, if we wanted to make this world better so that little babies today would grow up and actually take an interest in high fashion, what would we do? And I think it's a video worth watching, and maybe comment if you want. Wow, Christian is the best guest on here, and I love him.
Make sure you let him know. Christian
let him know.
wants to be basically the co-host of every Fashion Lover video, and that'll only happen if you comment and really let him know.
Yeah, or just like any fashion video.
right.
Community.
I do think that. Just to kind of leave off on this, that you mentioned the like external validation part, and that maybe being a problem. But I think this is something, maybe this is personal. So that's why I want to talk about this. If this is just me, or if this is maybe more general, or if you'd agree. I find it kind of silly to remove that part of fashion. I feel like it's one of those things that is inherently socialized in a way that you can't discount.
Well, something that I disagreed, and I've said this to the Fashion Lover in the past, and I don't disagree in saying like he's wrong and I'm right.
Of course,
but something that I argue is that I don't think you can just appreciate. I mean, I guess you could. Hypothetically, you could just appreciate a garment for literally how it looks, like it is 1970s minimalist art. Like Frank
Right.
Stella made this art, and he's telling you this is literally what you're seeing, and that is only what I want you to interpret it as.
Yeah.
But I
And I
think that
think you can interpret, you can also appreciate it in a vacuum in terms of like the materials and the fit and feel, where it's like, this is the perfect item of clothing for exactly what I'm doing right now in every way. But that's only a piece of it, you know?
yeah, that's the thing is I think that whether we are conscious or it's subconscious, whether we want to or not, I think that the universe around these brands and these garments play a significant role
Mhm.
in our appreciation and understanding of them. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not inherently bad. If we take Andy Muellermeister for an example,
Yep.
I think that like the dark avant-garde kind of circle that her brand has existed in, I
Mhm.
think that everything around kind of the community and the quasi marketing that they've done, the fact that it's like it was always kind of a indie brand, it was
Mhm.
the part of the Antwerp Six, all that story plays a part and a role in our appreciation and understanding of it, and
Yeah.
why we know that those boots that are reversed, those boots that are upside down are Andy, and that we appreciate them.
Mhm.
And I think that that was something that in the video we kind of reached something of what's the word where you compromise, a compromise,
Detente?
a
I don't know.
détente. We reached a détente because
Yeah.
it was war.
Right.
And we agreed that there is a lot of ephemeral stuff that exists in like fashion brands that's not just garbage. Like
Yeah.
I also think this, and I don't mean to get so off topic or on a
All
topic
good.
that's like
That's what we do.
maybe
I don't know if
that
you've
is what we
noticed.
do. I don't know why I had the caveat. What was I saying? I think that fashion suffers from the same issue that video game development suffers from, that our favorite shows suffer from. They're all products of a capitalist system. And
Yeah.
I'm not being a pinko commie. I'm just saying that this system is designed to convince people to buy more, and the
Yeah.
brands that are doing it must grow
Mhm.
forever. That
And
is how they work.
it's actually a weirdly similar subject to like the like big tech algorithm thing, where you know all the algorithms, people always complain like, well, they're not good for society, they're only tuned to get more and more and more, bigger engagement, bigger audience. And really the fashion brands are the same thing, they're not tuning themselves to be the best clothes, they're tuning themselves to make the most money, grow the most, be the coolest, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and I think that at the end of the day, as long as we live in this system and society, there will be a need and a demand for the garments we love, for the art that we love, to serve a dual purpose of being a product that it works or assists the bottom line of a company.
You
And
know
that
what?
is a hard pill to swallow.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right, Christian. We do live in a society.
Hmm. Yes.
Do you want to brandomize?
Randomize me. I'm randomized. I'm randomized.
So, our
Okay.
segment, fan favorite segment, we have a spinny wheel filled with brands that are maybe under talked about, under discussed, don't do the crazy, outrageous, or terrible or great things. They're just kind of doing their thing, and we want to talk about them. We want to give them some love, give them some discussion time here. So we've refilled the wheel. You've got a bunch of new ones in here. Are you ready?
Yes.
Should I
Of
spin
course
it?
I am. Yes.
You sure?
Yeah,
Alright.
I don't like that you said that they're not doing crazy things.
There's some
Never
crazy.
mind.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh!
Greg, cousin Greg.
Greg
Lauren.
Lauren.
Greg Lauren. You're like, where have I heard that name before? Well, his
Unky Ralph.
Uncle Ralph, is a billionaire who is known for designing some shirts.
Mhm.
So Greg Lauren is a relatively new brand from California, and its namesake is model turned designer Greg, who is the nephew of Ralph Lauren.
Mm-hmm.
And the brand has, and I'm filling everybody in, I guess.
Yep.
The brand has always taken kind of similar cues to his Uncle Ralph's designs in terms of like being Americana inspired, Western inspired. Doesn't Greg Loren look like the real life Bruce Wayne? Kind of.
Really does.
He kind of does.
Or like sort of, yeah, like Christopher Reeve kind of vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
Very chiseled jawline.
Christopher Reeve, Christian Bale,
Mm-hmm.
big. He's actually a superhero vibes.
Yeah.
But the I guess the obvious and kind of thing that everybody loves about Greg Loren's pieces is that they're very kind of bespoke's the wrong word, like small batch.
Yep.
They are mostly the product of repurposing and combining dead stock garments or textiles. And if you've never seen a Greg Loren piece in person, the tag is like, it looks like a scrap of paper or a scrap of fabric. And the information about the garment is written on there. And it kind of gives you like a vibe, like this is very much like it was piece by piece nature. This isn't mass produced.
The brand tags, at least on everything I've seen, like hand signed. Like it's not like a logo print. He just signs them.
Or, like a servant does it.
Right. Right. Might just be an intern.
For my money, every Greg Loren piece I have seen, people I've known who've owned them or seen in stores or whatever, I am kind of a fan. I think they're pretty cool. I think that there's like, can you scroll back up? Like click on, I'm sorry that I do this where I'm like,
all good.
If you're listening, you have no clue. And like, can you click on one of the kimono ones?
Yes.
I do like the way that these look. Obviously, they have kind of Visvim vibes.
Yeah.
But I think they're sick. The material is really nice. I think the fits are usually very trendy. The price is high for these, but
very.
It's kind of the name of the game. That's how they've positioned themselves. And they are, to some extent, made in small batches. So they're going to be pricey. But I think that a lot of these pieces are pretty cool. And it definitely, I think in the right amount of way, it is reminiscent of Ralph Lauren without like, being like just kind of like a knockoff in some way.
For sure.
I spoke enough. I'll let you say something if you.
Yeah, I mean, I think in short, I really fuck with it. I've always really appreciated what he does. All the stuff you've already talked about like the way in which he works, I think is pretty well covered. But I definitely respond to that as well. From a design perspective, I think it's sick. I really like cut and sew stuff in general.
Yeah,
it's just something that is always striking, or at least when it's done right. The one thing I'll say on a very practical level is that the pieces that I've worn aren't the most comfortable, because when you're doing this kind of cut and sew that's so like jagged almost, you get these seams in really weird kind of awkward places that makes them kind of hard to wear, honestly. But from like a looks perspective, I have pretty much nothing negative to say about it.
But I am a provocateur.
Please.
So let's be negative. First question: Is Greg Loren a nepo baby?
Ooh, yes.
Yeah,
I think so. I think that if the relation to Uncle Ralph wasn't there, he would not be anywhere near where he is. He'd probably have a pretty successful studio in LA with a little showroom that does well for what it is, but he would not be like Saks Fifth Avenue,
I mean, it seems unlikely, First off, I will admit this. I don't know if it's that Greg Loren Leibowitz gene, but he's hot. So the fact that he was a model, he could have been a model without Uncle Ralph.
That's true.
He is
He's got that part
classically
down.
handsome.
Yeah.
But I have to. It's kind of like one of those things where it's like, well, I'm not saying that I think Kendall Roy's idea for the hundreds is a good idea,
Right.
but I'll admit that I don't think I would even be talking about this or hearing about it if his dad wasn't rich or his uncle wasn't involved.
Yeah, they definitely would not have the funding for the hundreds if he wasn't who he was.
Yeah. But, it's kind of like, well, this is what you all want, right? You wanted the capitalist society. You wanted,
right.
The rich to get richer. So here you go.
Yeah.
Here's the other controversy.
Okay.
Is this like, are the collections too uninspired or not bold enough? Is this too reductive or kind of copycat of like Sakai and Visvim?
Right. That was definitely my biggest thing when I reviewed the last collection was I really liked it. I think I put it in like A tier instead of S tier. It could have been S tier, honestly, but it just wasn't pushing it quite enough. Like everything was what you would want and expect it to be, but it was not surprising me or giving me that like super wow factor,
Super wow.
Yeah.
I can't wait until Blizzard releases that game.
Give me super wow.
Yeah, I can see that, and for what it's worth, while I don't pay super close attention to Greg Loren, I've always kind of felt like they are a brand that's not necessarily like, say, like Rick Owens, where it's like an evolution over time. That's like, if I looked at the shows from 10 years ago, I see where it evolved from, but it's completely different. Greg Loren more or less feels like they explore kind of a circle of ideas and they don't go beyond it, is one thing.
It's like that. What's the like Japanese garden where you have like the rake and you just go and do these designs over the same spots over and over?
It's called a Zen garden.
Right. That thing. Yeah.
That's one thing. If you said, like, you saw me wearing this, you went, nice Sakai, and it was Greg Loren, I'd be like, well, at least I spent a lot of money on this.
Right.
I do think it looks a lot like Sakai, some of these pieces, and I don't know. Greg Loren was a great brand for us to brandomize because it's like, I think the pieces are desirable. I think that this is the muddy waters of fashion where there are pieces out there. There are garments and brands where I'm like, I like this. I like how it's cut. I like how it looks. I like how it feels and how it drapes on my body. But I kind of recognize that perhaps there isn't as much artistic value behind this. Perhaps I like how it looks, despite the fact it isn't a bold, artistic, and distinctive thing. It's kind of more or less like the hits. It's like a hamburger,
So you actually made me think of something when you brought up Rick Owens, where there's this quote that I think if it was said by anyone else, I would think it was super dumb, but because it's Rick Owens, you're like, oh yeah. I think I read it somewhere. He said he hopes to always become more Rick Owens. Like that's his goal. And I feel like Greg Loren isn't always becoming more Greg Loren. He's just always Greg Loren.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
You
know what's interesting about that quote? You set it up in a way, and the quote itself is set up in a way that's how we used to talk about Kanye. We would start by saying, this quote would sound like it was from an idiot. But because it's from Kanye, I think that there's something significant. And he said, I am always trying to be more Kanye West. And it's like, yeah, he would say that. Yeah. But considering Rick Owens is kind of like the personality opposite of the artist formerly known as Kanye. I think it's cool that he said
Can
that,
I
but
ask
I
you
agree.
one more controversial question? I know we're short on time, but
That's okay.
last controversy on Greg Lauren. This look that's on screen here, is it racist?
I mean, come on. I listen. Was Clint Eastwood's character in The Good and the Bad and the Ugly racist?
Right.
I don't know if I would necessarily say that a poncho and a classic Western hat is immediately a Mexican stereotype that is like unapproachable. I don't think that personally. I think that maybe in part because like Mexican and kind of Western American culture has always played kind of like a game of mixing it up and sharing.
Yeah.
And also because these garments, like it's not like a Native American like tribal headdress that's
right.
like the only our chief wore that when somebody died.
It's not Comme des Garçons cornrows.
Yeah, that's actually cool. Actually cool. I don't know what you were saying.
Whoa.
I don't think it's racist.
I don't either. And I think maybe someday we should have a bigger conversation about like the lines of appropriation in fashion, because I think there's some interesting stuff to mine there.
Yeah. There's definitely, I'll tell you what, BuzzFeed definitely wants to mine that shit.
For sure. We can provide the content for a listicle for High Snobiety.
Yeah.
We'll be there, and then a few weeks later, High Snobiety can rewrite.
Yeah. They'll be like, guys, I just had this incredibly nuanced and very novel idea. And it's like, is Supreme cool again?
I think chunky shoes are kind of on the way out, you guys.
Yeah.
Hey, anybody, do you want to chat?
If anybody has
any big thoughts?
Yeah, if anybody has any big thoughts, speak them now or forever hold your peace in the comments. And if you don't speak them, I will just assume that you guys don't want to talk to me.
I like that we've got I love Greg Lauren, and then I know absolutely nothing about Greg Lauren. In the chat. Like, I feel like we've got all in our audience, all sides of the Greg Lauren discussion here.
Incredible. All sides.
Listen, we're fair and balanced. We're the Fox News of fashion podcasts.
Fair and balanced. Kyle 3 asked, should you wash your legs?
I mean,
Kyle, you should probably wash every part of your body.
Can I ask you an honest question?
Yes.
Do you, when you shower, scrub your legs?
I do.
Okay.
Do I like do a full like a maybe not, but I do. I
don't think I do. Like, now that I think about it, I don't. I think I just let like the soap run, the used soap run down them and hope that covers it. Yeah.
And I mean, I know I feel like I had an argument, not an argument, but somebody in high school was like, you don't wash this part. And it's like, if you're in a shower, it is dousing you in hot water that is taking everything off of your body. You don't have to scrub.
I have to assume that your school is like this too. I feel like every school I went to had this one kid, the one kid that just has like dirt brown inside of his elbows and knees and everything. Because
that's sad.
It's sad.
Yeah. You should pin the one. This man got the stanky leg. You should pin that comment. Yep.
Makoa.
And it's
the truth.
It's Kirby smoking a fat blunt. And Kyle 3 also asked, how many people don't wash their legs and wear the same denim every day? See, jeans are never dirty.
Right.
Thing. I mean, at least for me, I do all my sweating on my torso, and it's cooking. I sweat too much. My legs don't really sweat.
I do. I wash my jeans pretty regularly. I feel like. I don't know. What about you? What sort of clip are you at with cleaning jeans?
Well, frankly, because I don't really have a rotation of raw denim,
right?
And I wash my pants basically
Same.
after I wear
Yeah.
them. But honestly, though, I'll be honest with you. This is the end of the podcast. I'll be honest. Typically,
Yeah.
I wear my tops once, like one day. They're
Yeah.
dirty. Pants, they go a couple of days.
Yeah. No, I think that's 100%. Like a t-shirt is done in one. You know what I mean? Pair of jeans, you can get like 3 wears out of it, I think, before it's dirty. That's what I would say. Unless, like, you know, I like drum in bands and stuff. If I'm like wearing jeans for a show, that's a one wear, you know? So it is very dependent, you know?
Yeah. So you liked that movie, that sad movie about the drummer who went deaf?
Oh, yeah, that was a good movie.
It seems sad to me. I didn't watch it. I
Oh,
only
it's
saw the trailer.
incredibly sad. It's a
Yeah.
tearjerker for sure.
So
The Sound of Metal. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing where it's like, you know, like in Little Miss Sunshine, when the kid, what's his face, wants to be a fighter jet pilot, and then he realizes he can't because he's colorblind.
Right.
It's like an entire movie of that, and I don't need.
It's true. It's so true.
Yeah. Well,
all right,
big dumb idiot. We've reached the end.
We sure have. Thanks so much, everyone, for being with us.
Thank you.
Tyler's with me. Tyler liked The Sound of Metal.
I mean, it seems like it's a good movie, but I sometimes have to decide not to watch things.
I'll also say, last thing on this, the music that they played was like legit, like noise metal, like very avant-garde music, and I appreciate that they didn't just put him in like a crappy Metallica type metal band. Like they actually found interesting musicians to make the soundtrack, you know, in universe music.
Okay, so like just spitballing here.
Yeah.
Was it like like that?
Yes.
And then like there's other like dissonant noises.
Like blast beats and droning dissonance and yeah.
Okay.
All right.
You should get you on the drums on the pod.
Oh yeah.
And I'll do the vocals. I'll be like, something like that.
You got to do the inward. I can't do it. You really know we made it to the end of the pod when this is what we're doing. Yeah, all right. That's enough of that. Where can people find you?
Find me at Brave New Wear, the YouTube channel, and Christian Chibetta, the Instagram channel. And, you know, guys, tell your friends about the pod. Tell your loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to start a new segment called God Save the Pod. Because if God doesn't, nobody will. God doesn't do it. It can't be done. So
all right. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. And I'm low luxury everywhere. That's all everywhere that matters. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Take it easy. Good night, everyone.